Hello and welcome to this look at using Hess's law and also deciding which type of Hess's law cycle to use depending on the data that you're given. So Hess's law in its simplest form states that the enthalpy change of a reaction is independent of the route taken. So what this means is if you have a reaction where the direct route is impossible to measure in terms of the heat change, therefore you can do an indirect route whereby the stages can be measured and added up. And the sum of all those enthalpy changes for the stages that you can measure will be the same as the overall enthalpy change for the direct route, which you couldn't measure. So for example, if you took a train from Brighton to London, you could also go via Littlehampton. So the Littlehampton route is your indirect route, and the direct route would be straight from Brighton to London. Imagine though if the Brighton to London train was cancelled for some reason. You'd have to then go by the indirect route, but you'd still end up in London. So this type of Hess cycle is the one you use when you're given delta FH data. So imagine your direct route across the top. You have your reactants, then an arrow pointing from left to right, then your products. So that direct route can't be measured. So you come up with an indirect route. So if you're given delta FH data for the reactants and for the products, remembering the definition for delta FH, you have to do the elements in their standard states. So that goes at the bottom of the cycle, and the arrows point up from the elements in their standard states to the reactants. And obviously the same elements in their standard states in the same mole ratio will also make the products, because it's just a rearrangement of the same atoms going from left to right, isn't it? So if you follow the dotted line as your direction of travel through your indirect route, you'll notice that the direction of travel going downwards is actually in the opposite direction to the enthalpy arrow pointing up. So therefore you put a minus in front of delta FH for the reactants, which would be this value here. The dotted line is going in the same direction as the enthalpy arrow on the right, which is the delta FH for the products. So you keep that the way it is, you just add them up, no switching around of the sign. So remember, what you're trying to do in your Hess cycle is adhere to the definition for standard enthalpy of formation. So it's 1 mole of a compound formed from its constituent elements, all reactants and products in their standard states. Let's look at what you do if you're given delta CH data. This time around it's arranged in a slightly different way. So following the dotted line this time round, it's delta CH of the reactants going in this direction, plus minus delta CH of the products going in this direction, because the arrow pointing downwards this time is in the opposite direction to the way you're travelling in that indirect route. So when you construct a delta CH data Hess cycle, the reactants point downwards to the combustion products, and the products point downwards to their combustion products. In other words, you're imagining what would happen if you burnt 1 mole of your reactant in oxygen to make the combustion products all reactants and products in their standard states. Similarly, if you took the products of your reaction and imagined burning them in oxygen, you would get from combustion products, again, all reactants and products in their standard states. So this time you're adhering to the definition of standard enthalpy of combustion. So let's look at an example using delta FH data. So although they want you to work out what happens to be a combustion, the data you're given is formation enthalpy data. So we're going to use this particular model that we just looked at. So what you do is you put your Hess cycle together. The constituent elements in their standard states are at the bottom. You ignore oxygen because it's not it doesn't get a delta FH value because if you remember, oxygen is not a compound, so it's basically the formation of a 1 mole of a compound from its constituent elements. If you've got a constituent element already, it doesn't get an enthalpy of combustion. So you put the indirect route in, you insert the numbers, and you follow the indirect route like we said before. If the dotted line travels in a different direction to the solid arrows, reverse the sign. So in this case, if you're going downwards like that, plus 12 is changed into minus 12. So that gives you minus 3,914 kilojoules per mole, which is answer A. Now let's look at an example using delta CH data. So you construct your cycle using this time the enthalpy of combustion data model. You put in your indirect route, you insert your numbers, you pop them in, doing the same thing we did before, and we got, this time, minus 126.5 kilojoules per mole, which happens to be answer B. So let's look at a more challenging example. So on the surface, we're just looking at the enthalpy of combustion, because obviously it's being combusted in oxygen to form its combustion products, everything in their standard states. But they want the standard enthalpy change of combustion. And be careful here, because you've got 2 moles of Al2S3 being burned, not 1 mole, but we'll come back to this a bit later. So you construct your Hess cycle as normal, put the numbers in, do the calculation, and here's where it gets a bit tricky, because the number you get from the initial calculation is actually one of the answers. It's one of the options, isn't it? Minus 3684.6. But like we said, it's 2 moles of Al2S3 reacting, and they want the standard enthalpy of combustion, e.g. that idea, but applied to 1 mole. So remembering our definition for standard enthalpy change of combustion, what you've actually got to do is divide that answer by 2, so it adheres to that. If you divide it by 2, you get minus 1842.3, which is actually answer B. Okay, I hope that this has been a useful look at a range of different types of Hess cycles. Obviously, it's not just multiple choice questions they could ask. It could be more structured examples, but I'm just showing you how you could apply it to a multiple choice question if you wanted to. Okay, as always, thanks for listening. Until next time, see you soon.